A bad TV kiss can get people into a heap of trouble, whether it's the wrong people, the wrong place, the wrong time, or something so much worse. One of the famous romantic scenes in the original Star Trek series took place in the Season 3 episode Plato's Stepchildren, which originally aired in 1968. Notably, this episode features the first kiss between William Shatner's James T. Kirk and Nichelle Nichols' Uhura. But besides being a triumphant moment for fans of the two characters, it was deemed controversial at the time for being widely regarded as the first interracial kiss to be broadcast on television. That said, this perception wasn't quite right. Interracial romances had been depicted on TV before, such as Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz on I Love Lucy. Much of the controversy likely stemmed from the fact that Plato's Stepchildren aired only 1 year after Loving vs. Virginia, a Supreme Court case that upheld interracial marriage under the Constitution. Executives at NBC were reportedly worried that the moment would offend some American audiences, so they forced the producers to shoot an alternative version in which Kirk doesn't kiss Uhura, as well as another where the kiss occurs off-screen. Shatner and Nichols, who wanted the authentic moment to air on TV, made sure that the other takes were unusable, with Shatner crossing his eyes in one and flubbing his lines in another. While the Kirk-Uhura kiss ended up making TV history, the BBC refused to re-air the episode until the 1990s, insisting that it was due to the episode's villains rather than the interracial kiss. It's perhaps no surprise that a fantasy show like Once Upon a Time would inspire some fairy tale love stories of its own. At least that's what seemed to happen between Jennifer Goodwin and Josh Dallas, who played Snow White and Prince Charming on the show. The only problem? At the time they began filming, Dallas was married to Laura Pulver, while Goodwin was engaged to Joey Kern. It seems like their characters' on-screen love affair may have inspired one off-screen. On Live with Kelly and Ryan, Dallas was asked if they had to resist falling in love on set.
No, we didn't fight it.
You didn't fight it?
We went straight for
Hollywood.
it. Straight for it.
The couple went public with their romance only a few months after Dallas's divorce, which suggests these co-stars must have seriously enjoyed kissing each other as Snow White and Prince Charming. And while there's no confirmation that Goodwin and Dallas's on-screen smooching started in bad faith, it's safe to say that the end of both Goodwin's engagement and Dallas's marriage may be connected. The pair married in 2014 and now share 2 children. Little House on the Prairie was one of the most iconic television shows of the 1970s, but the cast didn't always have an easy time making it. This was particularly true for Melissa Gilbert, who broke out on the show playing Laura Ingalls, the daughter of Charles Ingalls. At 15 years old, Gilbert had her first kiss, both on-screen and in real life, in the episode Sweet 16, though some on-set turmoil nearly prevented it from happening. The trouble came from Gilbert's mother, who was upset that Gilbert's first kiss at 15 was with her TV husband, played by the 23-year-old Dean Butler. Years later, Gilbert herself revealed she was also uncomfortable with the kiss, writing in her memoir, "Today, that 8-year difference between us is a tiny gap, but 45 years ago, it was the Grand Canyon." Nevertheless, Butler has defended the kiss, saying it was an important moment for the characters. Not everyone who watched Little House on the Prairie agreed, though. The episode received complaints from viewers who felt that a relationship between a teenager and an adult man was inappropriate for television. It's always difficult to navigate making a TV show that has kissing scenes take place between minors. In the case of Stranger Things, it was even more problematic, as one of those kisses wasn't actually planned. The second season finale, The Gate, ends with the annual snowball at the teen school, in which Mike and Eleven dance and smooch together. However, the scene also features the first kiss for Max and Lucas, a kiss that wasn't supposed to happen when the actors showed up on set. As Sadie Sink revealed in the Beyond Stranger Things after show on Netflix, she was told by co-creator Ross Duffer that she was going to have to kiss Max McLaughlin, which understandably caused her to freak out.
I was just joking. And you were so freaked out that I was like, well, I gotta make her do it now.
This admission resulted in some backlash from fans online, who suggested that it was highly inappropriate for the Duffer brothers to coax the 2 child actors into kissing on camera when they weren't prepared for it. Worse yet, this was McLaughlin's first kiss. At the very least, Sink seemed to have a good attitude looking back at it. Rhea Perlman's portrayal of Carla in NBC's iconic sitcom Cheers won her 4 Emmys for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, but it also won her some real-life enemies. One of those people is comedian Jay Thomas, who was cast on Cheers in a guest-starring capacity as Eddie, Carla's romantic interest and eventual husband. However, sparks did not fly between Thomas and Perlman on set, as Thomas would soon reveal. On his radio show, Thomas was asked by a caller what the set of Cheers was like, to which the comedian replied, "It's brutal. I have to kiss Rhea Perlman." The insult was taken seriously by the show's producers, who subsequently fired the actor. Rather than simply not have Eddie appear on screen anymore, Thomas's character was killed off of the show in a Zamboni accident. Years later, Thomas insisted that his comment had been directed toward Perlman's character, Carla, who was notably unpleasant. Perlman, meanwhile, claimed Thomas was written off because she didn't want Carla to become excluded from the show's main cast. Either way, not having the two on set together seemed to be best for everyone. It's not unheard of for actors to spontaneously kiss their scene partner in the middle of a take, but this opens up a whole world of problems when the actor also happens to be involved in running what they're acting on. This was the mistake made by Mindy Kaling on her Fox show The Mindy Project, in which her character's dating life often brought in handsome guest stars that caused Kaling to briefly lose her senses. One such guest star was Lee Pace, who appeared in the Season 3 episode San Francisco Bay as Alex, a former college fling whom Mindy's character regrets not staying with. Kaling herself admitted on Conan that in one scene she improvised a kiss with Pace, but not everyone on set thought it was a good idea. Ike Barinholtz and David Stassen, both writer-producers on the show, told her she had potentially done something very bad.
Hey man, what are you doing? You could be sued for that. And I got very scared, and then I said, tell anyone and you're fired.
Years later, a resurfaced clip of the interview circled the web, prompting many former fans to criticize her for openly admitting to and making light of what would today be deemed sexual harassment. The ABC sitcom Roseanne broke new ground for TV audiences. In the Season 6 episode Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which aired in 1994, Roseanne goes to a gay bar in order to prove she's cool. Soon, she attracts the attention of Sharon, who is played by Mariel Hemingway. When Sharon unexpectedly kisses Roseanne, however, the characters find themselves in trouble, which is exactly what happened to the real-life showrunners, too. Upon learning of the kiss, ABC executives threatened to pull the episode from their schedule. Nevertheless, thanks to Barr's threat to move Roseanne to another network and producer Tom Arnold spilling the beans about the controversy prior to airing, Don't Ask, Don't Tell aired in its original form, albeit with a warning label and the loss of a few sponsors. The episode was praised by many for tackling the rampant issue of homophobia, but the mixed to angry reactions from conservatives actually made it harder for future shows to portray same-sex relationships. Nevertheless, Roseanne poked fun at the controversy in later episodes, while Hemingway made reference to it in her 1995 Saturday Night Live monologue by kissing several of the show's female cast members backstage. A number of dark secrets surrounding Nickelodeon have come to light in recent years, from abusive producers on many of their iconic sitcoms to situations that endangered the lives of child actors. This poor work environment carried over to the Naked Brothers Band, which starred Nat and Alex Wolff and was created by their mother, Polly Draper. To shape out the titular rock band, a lineup of child actor musicians was formed, one of which was played by Ali D'Amico. After watching a documentary that exposed the shocking behind-the-scenes behavior at Nickelodeon, D'Amico took to TikTok to claim she had been forced to kiss a 30-year-old adult on the show. She was 14 or 15 years old at the time, she said. To make matters worse, said adult, Jake Herzog, wasn't a professional actor. He was a backup musician for the band who D'Amico alleged had constantly begged to be written into the show. On a set riddled with nepotism, it was tough for D'Amico to stand her ground as one of the few external hires. D'Amico alleged that she and her mother were against the kiss scene, but were threatened with being fired if she didn't go through with it. In another TikTok video, D'Amico recalled that a female producer, after finding out that she hadn't had her first kiss, grabbed her and kissed her.
And then she said, "There, your first kiss is over. You've had your first kiss, and now go film."
Saturday Night Live has had its fair share of famous and infamous kisses, but none caused quite as much of a ruckus as that shared between Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian in 2021. Kardashian was hosting the show that night, and one sketch, based on Aladdin, saw her locking lips with Davidson. Kardashian later admitted that her interest felt piqued from it enough to pursue Davidson romantically. There was one person who wasn't too happy about this, however. Throughout the duration of Kardashian and Davidson's year-long romance, Kanye West publicly criticized the two's relationship, accusing Kardashian of inviting him to the SNL performance to watch her kiss Davidson as a manipulation tactic. He even threatened physical harm against Davidson via social media posts and song lyrics. Still, at least West didn't have to see the moment live. Kardashian later alleged that he had walked out of the SNL taping after she joked about him in her monologue. Sometimes the most troublesome on-screen kisses aren't the ones that are unscripted, but the ones that happen to real people. The 75th Academy Awards, which aired on ABC in 2003, is a notable example of this. as it was the year Adrien Brody won Best Actor for The Pianist. In one of the more memorable moments from the night, Brody forcibly kissed presenter Halle Berry before accepting his award. Understandably, many viewers have long held mixed feelings about this moment. In a series of reactions from the Chicago Tribune, one reader wrote, "When I watched the event, it made me extremely uncomfortable, the same way I'd feel if I saw any other total stranger force a kiss on someone else. What he did goes beyond the realm of polite or impolite. It was abusive." To make matters worse, it seems Brody and Berry have different recollections of the moment itself. Brody cited the kiss as memorable enough to make it feel as if time slowed down, while Berry expressed a much different reaction on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah. I was like, what the f*** is happening? Right now. That is what was going through my mind.
If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE-4673.